So it says, this is from the article from the Mirror, and it says declassified CIA document suggests psychic located Ark of Covenant in 1988. And so this is part of those declassified files that were, released out to the public. I believe it was may have been released out last week. I was only catching wind of it this week. And like I said, family, a lot of us, we take a look at these things and we just chalk it up to conspiracy theory. Don't really give it a whole lot of, thought. And I'm of the same vein, family. But something just kept tugging at me to say, hey, just take a look at it, right? Just take a look at it. So let's just, what we'll do, family, is that we'll take a look at this, and then we're going to give. I think whenever you take a look at it, it's always great to have context, right? To understand what's going on, what these programs about, what's the breadth of it, that sort of thing. And here we are. So this is talking about declassified CIA documents suggesting that a psychic located Ark of the Covenant in 1988. So again, this screams conspiracy theory, but let's keep reading. It says the Ark of the Covenant is one of the most sought after biblical artifacts, supposedly containing the 10 commandments, and the CIA experiment claimed to have found its locations. And then it reads, recently declassified CIA documents have sparked intrigue, suggesting that the mystery of the Ark of the Covenant, which holds the 10 commandments, was uncovered in 1988 through a psychic experiment. Now, the wording that they're giving this, and this is what I learned after doing some research, especially like the way that this particular article is framing it. They're doing it a major disjustice or injustice by terming it the way that they are, right? When they say psychic experiment, it comes across as conspiracy theory and stuff like that. But let's just keep reading, family. It says the Bible narrates that the Ark of the Covenant was crafted following the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, as per God's instructions to Moses, who then placed the 10 commandments inside. In the 1980s, the CIA engaged with self-proclaimed psychics, and they weren't called psychics in the report. Like, let's keep reading. Self-proclaimed psychics possessing extrasensory perception to gain insight into the historical and future events. Despite the absence of tangible proof of the Ark's existence, the release documents from 2000 allege its discovery in 1988. A declassified CIA report from Project Sunstreak, and we'll look at that, Project Sunstreak, reveals that remote viewer number 32, and I'll explain that as well, remote viewer number 32, using only coordinates, described the Ark of the Covenant as hidden somewhere in the Middle East, reports the Express US. And I think, let's just read a little bit more of this. And it says, Project Sunstreak revealed intricate details about the CIA experiment with psychics. It says the target is a container. The container has another container inside. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver, and it's decorated with a 6-winged angel. The remote viewer reportedly detailed according to the document. So just to give you some details as far as like what these terms mean. Like, so when it says the target, so basically whatever actually, let me back up here. All right. So you have these people called the viewer, right? And these are people that they, that they believe have an innate ability to be able to see things, from a distance, like through their minds. Like, they're sitting over in Chicago, they're sitting over in San Francisco, and this is kind of like X-Men type things, right? This is like, that's why I put Xavier on the thumbnail. Like, this is X-Men type things. So they're finding people or people that have this ability to be able to see things. And so these people are called viewers, per the CIA documents. That's what they call them. They call them viewers. And then whatever they're looking at is what they call the target. So, and I'm going to read to you the history behind this program, because actually this is a program that has gone on for a very long time. It's a major funded program. It's not something small, and it's changed hands, departments, and it's also changed names over the years. But as we'll read, it's one of those things where it's supported by big name universities. Like big name universities, big name professors are part of this program that the CIA and various other government entities have funded and put together. All right. So anyway, but that's just some of the background on, like, when you hear things like, or hear terms like the target, it's referring to whatever these people are viewing, and then the people that are actually viewing these targets, they're called the viewers, and that's what you'll see those definitions or terms in this document over and over again. All right. Well, hold your water, blessed and healthy. Hold your water. So just hang on. We're just getting started. So right now, I'm just sharing some background information. We're going to take take a look at just two articles just to get an idea of what they were saying happened, right? And the releasing of these CIA documents. This is something that happened back in 1988, right? Where were you in 1988? And basically what they believe that they found, and what I'm going to show you is why they believe that they found it. All right, because it wasn't just again, it's when you look at it just from the outside, if it comes across your comes across your phone or your computer as a notification, and you look at it and you're like, man, that's just some garbage, right? And that's what I did. But it's like when you look into it, family, you're like, so. And there's a kicker at the end here. If you stick around, I'll show you why. I'm kind of not so much in the middle, but there might be something to this, but we'll see. All right. So this is that. I'm not sure if I'm going to read this entire thing to you, family, but just know that this article talks about this new CIA document that was released that talked about how the CIA program back in the 1980s believed that they had found the Ark of the Covenant. And so I'm going to go over to the next article, and this is from the Jerusalem Post, and this is says declassified CIA files reveal psychic quests for the Ark of the Covenant. And it says, let's see here, let's scroll down. And it says, recently declassified CIA documents revealed that in 1988, the CIA conducted an experiment as part of a secret project called Sunstreak. There's that name again. Aiming to locate the lost artifact using remote viewing techniques. So again, whenever you see remote viewer, that's the person that's actually viewing or trying to locate these artifacts, right? And it reads, let's go to the next paragraph, and it says, in one of these experiments, a person identified as remote viewer number 32, and those numbers are important as well, family, but remote viewer number 32 was tasked with finding an unknown target, which was, in fact, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, that's what they believe, and we'll kind of go through some of the reasons why they believe this. It is what it is, but there are according to their documentation, there are, how can I put it, possibility that what he's saying is error, because a lot of it is like ambiguous, and they have to kind of put according to their process, they kind of put things together based off of the descriptions that this viewer is seeing. So the possibility of them putting together a wrong or incorrect picture, in my opinion, is high, but they believe that they found it. All right, so here we go. It says, just let me start all over here as far as the second paragraph. And it says, in one of these experiments, a person identified as viewer number 32 was tasked with finding an unknown target, which was, in fact, the Ark of the Covenant. Without prior knowledge of the target, remote viewer number 32 described a container made of wood, gold, and silver, adorned with images of 6-winged angels and similar in shape to a coffin. The target is a container. The container contains another container inside of it. Remote viewer number 32 stated, according to the New York Post, the remote viewer further described the object as hidden, subterranean, dark, and wet, indicating that the concealed nature of its location. The viewer perceived the presence of protective entities warning that anyone attempting unauthorized access to the ark would be destroyed by the protectors of the container by a force unknown to us. Additionally, remote viewer number 32 suggested that the site was populated by Arabic-speaking individuals dressed in all white, with visuals indicating the presence of mosque domes, as reported by Insider Paper. And we'll actually look at the picture that the viewer put together. Then it says, the purpose of the target is to bring people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. Remote viewer number 32 said, according to Metro, there is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know or what we now know. And we'll come back to that too. And it says the CIA's Project Sunstreak initiated in the 1980s sought to employ individuals with purported psychic abilities to locate distant targets using only geographical coordinates. And just to put a side note here, the CIA's Project Sunstreak is actually a continuation of a previous project called Stargate, which was older than that, and there were other projects older than that. So don't think that it started in the 1980s. It was actually around in the 1970s under various different names in various different departments. So let's keep going. It says the project's findings fueled debates among historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists alike. The Ark of the Covenant, considered the holiest object in Judaism, was built by the Israelites around the 13th century BC or BCE. According to the Bible, Moses is said to have placed the stone tablets inscribed with the Ten Commandments inside the ark. It was housed in the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the temple in Jerusalem, until it vanished during the Babylonian conquest. I believe that should be conquest in 1586 BCE. All right, let's see if we're going to read. We'll just read the next two paragraphs and jump to our presentation. So it says, over the centuries, numerous theories emerged regarding the fate of the ark. One theory claims it was taken to Ethiopia, where it allegedly resides in a local church called Mary of Zion. In 2018, a group of American Christians from the Bible Archaeology Search and Exploration Institute claimed to have discovered the ark inside a remote church in Africa, according to Metro. However, many researchers quickly dismissed this claim, leaving its true location a mystery. And it says the declassified document included several pages of drawings depicting one of the four seraphim that stand on the corners of the ark, as well as a drawing of mummies lined up on a wall. The report also includes sketches of a domed mosque, fueling further speculation about the ark's location in the Middle East. All right. So that's, just the gist of it, family. Is, got some declassified documents, and there are a couple of revelations in these documents. One is that the revelation that the government was using, some folks are calling it psychics, but in here they don't believe that they use the term psychic. They're calling them seers or viewers, right? But they're using these viewers to be able to see things, and there's a reason why they did that. So let me see. Let's take a look here. Oh, I actually got one more article, so I take that back. Let's just read this one last article, and then we'll jump over to the other presentation. It says, and this is from the Times of India, and it says, what is Project Sunstreak? How is it linked to the Ark of the Covenant? Old CIA files declassified in 2000 have created ripples this week as they were shared by podcaster Josh Hopper, shedding light on the U.S. government's Project Sunstreak and the apparent discovery of the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I will tell you, family, these documents are actually on the CIA's webpage. So I know they put this person, Josh Hopper, on this report, but it's actually the CIA's webpage. And I actually have two documents from their webpage. One is the actual the document that was shared. And the other report that I have is one that not a lot of people are talking about, but it's a report that goes into detail about the research or the programs of the viewers, right? These programs that were around in the 1980s in its history. And so that's the part that I want to share with you as well. But let's keep going, family. It says, Joshua, it says Project Sunstreak and apparent discovery of the Ark of the Covenant. And then it says, according to this project, some psychics visualize the Ark of the Covenant. And again, they weren't calling themselves psychics, but it says, according to this project, some psychics visualized the Ark of the Covenant somewhere in the Middle East where people were speaking Arabic in 1988. And it says Project Sunstreak was a classified U.S. government program that operated primarily during the 1980s under the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. And then it says, with involvement from the CIA. It was an evolution of earlier initiatives like Project Stargate. And that's what I was telling you about, family. Project Stargate was the predecessor for, Project Sunstreak. Kind of wonder where they keep getting these names from. But anyway, it says, which began in the 1970s to explore potential of remote viewing, a technique where individuals purportedly use extrasensory perception to visualize distant or hidden objects, people, or events. Now, what we'll do, family, I'm going to also read to you an excerpt from that CIA document. And basically, what it's going to show you is that, this was during the Cold War, right? During the height of the Cold War, you had the U.S. and Soviets, they were squaring off their nuclear armaments. They were building up their nuclear stockpiles, and each side wanted to know what the other was doing. So they were always trying to find these different ways to figure out what the other side was doing. So the U.S. was trying to figure out what the Soviets was doing, and the Soviets wanted to figure out what the U.S. was doing. And they were trying to find any and every advantage or tool to figure this out. And one of the tools that they researched and looked into was this, I guess you call it Project Sunstreak, Project Stargate, but this was one of those tools that they were trying to use to spy on the Soviets. Whether you want to call them psychics or, like I said, they don't use the term psychics in this document, or at least as far as what I came across, but they were calling them viewers. But this is just an attempt during the Cold War for espionage. This was a view during the Cold War for information. This is where all this is coming from. And you can actually see that in the next line in this paragraph, where it says, the goal was to harness this unconventional method for intelligence gathering during the Cold War, targeting Soviet military sites, missing persons, or other strategic assets that conventional espionage couldn't reach. Sunstreak specifically ran from around 1986 to 1990. Actually, it went on back past then. But like I said, family, when you do the research, you'll find that it's changed hands and changed departments, and so the start and stop dates aren't really that clear. In fact, it's probably still going on right now. But but as far as like Sunstreak, like the project that was run under the name of Sunstreak, probably ended in 1990, but it continued under a different name someplace else. All right, and it says through its exact scope remains murky due to limited declassification. And it says the program employed a small group of trained remote viewers. And again, for the benefit of those that are just hopping on, remote viewers are the ones that are actually attempting to, telepathically or whatever you want to call it, view a location or a site. And so they are calling them in these papers, in the CIA papers, they're calling them remote viewers, and they assign them numbers. And let's keep reading. It says, often civilians with allegedly psychic abilities who were given coordinates or abstract prompts to see or targets without prior context. Sessions were documented in detailed reports, including sketches and descriptions, which were then analyzed for actionable intelligence. While some claims of success exist, like locating a downed Soviet plane, most assessments, including a 1995 CIA review, concluded the results were inconsistent and lacked scientific rigor. That is misleading because there were various reviews of the program given by different people. And in fact, they did find that it was successful in some cases. And it depends on who's giving the the analysis as to whether or not it was basically whether or not it was successful or not. But according to some of the documentation that I have, family, it was successful. Not only was it successful, they were able to refine it in the 1990s, and they figured out why it wasn't working so great in the 1980s. But we'll get there in a moment. All right, so let's see. And it says, of course, did the CIA find the Ark of the Covenant in 1988? It says the content of the CIA files indicates that they came to know the location of the Ark of the Covenant that contains the 10 Commandments in 1988. Well, they didn't necessarily say that they came to know the location. Seems like this author or whoever's writing this report is kind of taking some liberties with the report, but no, they didn't really say that. And in fact, let me hop over to the presentation right quick, fam. Let's do this here. Hang on. All right. So there are, let's see here. I'm going to expand my screen so I can read it. All right. All right. So what you see on the screen, it says an evaluation of the remote viewing program. And so remember, I just stated that there were various evaluations of what they call the remote viewing program, right? They're not calling it the psychic program. They're calling it the remote viewing program. And even so, even in this report, there's there's one skeptic, and then there's one scientist that's like, look, the facts are there. We have all these scientists, and what you'll find, family, is that they have all these renowned scientists from all across the world, and in these various scientific disciplines, all weighing in. You even have Princeton University professors in here, and they're proving this thing actually worked. They've proven that it actually worked. And actually, the one guy that appears to be the skeptic, he's not really refuting what they came up with, but he's kind of refuting maybe some of like the methodologies, the way that they came up with it. But as far as like the facts of the of the findings, it's there in black and white. But let's keep reading, family. So this is just what I want to read to you is just give you some background on this, on these programs. And let's just read a little bit of it here, where it says government-sponsored research in psychic. Well, I guess it does say psychic functioning dates back to the early 1970s, when a program was initiated at what was then the Stanford Research Institution, now called SRI International. So SRI is one of the names of the institution back in the 70s. Again, family, what I was saying was that it's changed names over the years. So when somebody says like, oh, SRI started in 1970, but then it ended in 1980. Well, yeah, but it started up in a different name someplace else. But then it says that program was in existence until 1989. The following year, government sponsorship moved to a program at Science Applications International Corporation. Again, proving what I just said, CIA or SAIC, SAIC, under the direction of Dr. Edwin May, who had been employed in the SRI program since the mid 1970s, and had been project director from 1986 until the close of the program. And then it goes on to say, so talking about SAIC or SAIC, the Science Applications International Cooperation, it says they were guided by a scientific oversight committee consisting of, listen, family, experts in a variety of disciplines, including a winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics, internationally known professors of statistics, psychology, neuroscience, and astronomy, and a medical doctor who is a retired U.S. Army Major General. Further, we have access to the details for the full set of SAIC experiments, unlike for the set conducted at SRI. All right. So the point of that one, family, of that this slide here, I just wanted to show you the group of people that were part of these, of some of these projects, that they weren't, just some random folks. I mean, they were trying to grab the best of the best. Whenever you're talking about the government and their resources, they were trying to grab, a lot of these top-notch people, to participate in these programs. But here you can see there's talking about Stargate. So now Stargate is another iteration of this program. And it says Stargate is a defense intelligence agency program which involved the use of paranormal phenomena, primarily remote viewing. And that's what they call it, family. It's called remote viewing for intelligence collection. During Stargate's history, DIA pursued three basic program objectives: operations using remote viewing to collect intelligence against foreign targets; research and development, using laboratory studies to find new ways to improve remote viewing for use in the intelligence world; and foreign assessment, the analysis of foreign activities to develop or exploit the paranormal for any uses which might affect our national security. So basically, family, again, they were trying to find their Professor X and use their Professor X to for intelligence gathering, to see what the enemy was doing, and for national security. And then it says, prior to the advent of Stargate in the early 1990s, the DIA and the Central Intelligence Agency, it says, and other government organizations conducted various other programs pursuing some or all of these objectives. CIA programs began in 1972, but was discontinued in 1977. DIA's direct involvement began about 1985 and was continued up to the time of this report, which came out in the 1990s. All right. So now you can see, family, at least that these programs had been around for a while, and that there were various, esteemed professors from across the world that participated. Now let's just read a little bit of this. And what I'm going to read to you now, family, is these are the success stories that were part of the program. This is why the program continued to be funded throughout the years, because of course the program started and it didn't show or bear any fruit. Of course, you would assume that they would close it down, but the reason why it wasn't closed down was because it started bearing some fruit. And so here you can see it says, according to, and I don't pronounce that name, the scientific research endeavor at SRI, many may never have been supported had it not been for three apparent operational successes in the early days of the program. It says these are detailed by Puthoff and Targ, although the level of the matches is not clearly delineated. It says one of the apparent successes concerned the West Virginia site, in which two remote viewers purportedly identified an underground secret facility. One of them apparently named says one of them apparently named code words and personnel in this facility accurately enough that it set off a security investigation to determine how that information could have been leaked. Based only on the coordinates of the site, the viewers first described the above ground terrain, then proceeded to describe details on the hidden underground site. The same viewer then claimed that he could describe a similar communist bloc site and proceeded to do so for a site in the Urals. According to Puthoff and Targ, the two reports for the West Virginia site and the report for the Ural site were verified by personnel in the sponsor organization as being substantially correct. So just to show you again, family, that they were able to verify some of these claims early on. And also what you'll find out too, families, that with all things, some of these viewers were better than others. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you some of the better viewers in this program. And that's why I said the number associated with the viewer is important, because there were expert viewers and there were novice viewers. There were viewers that had a great success ratio, and there were viewers that didn't have a great success ratio. And to that end, family, that's why when a certain viewer is placed to, is tasked to find a certain target, if that, and that viewer has a track record of being an expert viewer, or a viewer that has been right on several occasions, now you understand why, if they point him to a certain location and he's coming back with these descriptions, why they are confident or they have a somewhat high level of confidence in his analysis. It's based off of the history. So let's keep reading. I'm going to read a little bit more of this. And it says, although some of the information in these examples was verified to be highly accurate, the evaluation of the operational work remains difficult, in part because there is no chance baseline for comparison as there is in control experiments, and in part because of differing expectations of different evaluators. So basically, family, anytime you're doing a scientific experiments, you have to have a controlled environment and things like that. So basically what they're just pointing out is that, hey, you guys didn't have a controlled environment when you were doing these during your research and analysis, but later on in later evaluations they did. Okay. And let's see here. It says, and this is talking about Princeton. It says, in 1983 to 1989 at the Psychological Research Laboratories in Princeton, New Jersey. It says, those experiments were also reported by separating novices from experienced subjects. Excuse me. Need to get some water. So again, family, this is speaking to what I mentioned before, and that is, some viewers were great, were considered experienced, and were considered, how can I put it? Yeah, experienced, and some were novices, some were experts. That's the word I'm looking for. Some were considered experts, and some were considered not so effective. So you have to keep that in a grain of salt when you're taking a look at these reports. And in fact, when in this later report that was done by the SIAC, what they did was that they did just that. They said they looked at all of their viewers and they said, well, you know what? These 6, I believe it was like, 6 is always the number 6, right? When it comes to this sort of wicked, evil stuff. But they found 6 viewers that were head and shoulders above everybody else, right? They found their Professor X, right? And then they started doing experiments with just those people, right? And then they started trying to improve their ability to accurately define or identify the target or whatever they were trying to look at. And based off of what's in this report, and again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. This is what they released. So I'm just, taking it at face value, but they're saying that they had great results when they did this. All right. So, and in fact, great results, in this case was, and it's this measurement called the effect size. So you'll see where it says, I know you can't see my mouse here, but in the highlighted paragraph where it says, for experienced remote viewers at SRI, the overall effect size was 0.385. So that's important because there's, like, whenever they're trying to gauge how accurate these guys are, they measure these guys' accuracy against the random probability, like the random probability of somebody just randomly guessing, the correct, the correct attributes of a site. Let's say, for instance, it would be 25%, right? And what they're saying is that the effect, and that's what the effect size represents. It represents how accurate they are, when they're doing these predictions or these viewings. And random possibility is around 0.25% or something like that. But what they're finding out is that these viewers, in general, their effect size is higher than the random probability. So that's what kept this program going was that these people were ahead of the curve. Like when they were trying to guess or view, certain things, and then they went back and tried to see if they were correct or not, their accuracy was above above the average, or it was above the the random threshold. And in fact, the ones that were the experts, they were even higher, way higher than that. And this is what you see here, family. You see Princeton, University of Amsterdam, University of Edinburgh, institution in North Carolina. And what is this showing you is that they were able to replicate these high percentages, in these viewings at these different laboratories. So again, they were able to replicate these findings in different laboratories, right? And that's why I say it's like when you look at it, when you're reading about this on the internet, is via like a India Times or something like that, they downplay it by inserting certain words and phrases. But in fact, this was a big undertaking. It was researched in multiple universities. It was researched in various states, and they were able to replicate the findings multiple times. And here, family, is, if you can remember that number that I threw out there to you, like that 0.3 something was considered high. Well, you'll see a number 10. So these, what you on the left-hand side, the first column represent is the experiment numbers. So these were the various experiments that they were running. But if you can go down to where it says number 10, so halfway down in the middle of your screen, it says number 10, entropy, and you'll see where it says 0.55. 0.55, family, is very high. It's very high. And the reason why it was high and why it says entropy number 2 is during this particular experiment, they theorized that the reason why these viewers weren't necessarily able to, how can I say, clearly, visualize a target was because there was too much noise, in the location. They were basically saying, like, if you were sitting down and you were watching a fast moving target, it would be hard for you to catch the fast moving target. But if you slowed everything down, right, slowed the noise down, or if you have a bunch of noise in the background, and if you quieted the background noise, it was easier for these viewers to identify the target. I know, just kind of giving a high level on that, but what they tried to do with the entropy 2 was they tried to reduce the noise, and this is where they were able to vastly improve the accuracy of their viewers. So these are the expert viewers, right? The expert viewers, and you can see the viewer names or numbers on the left-hand side. So viewer number 09, viewer number 372, viewer number 518. I put viewer number 389 in red because he's the one that brought everybody down when it comes to the average. And really, that 0.5, or the last column where it says total, where it says 0.5 under ES. If you take out 389, it's really going to bump that number way up. But let's just take a look at that, family. You can see where where it says static targets, viewer 372 was 0.8, very high, family. Viewer number 009 when dynamic targets, 0.9. Right. Actually, viewer number 372 was high in both static targets and dynamic targets. That's why I say Professor X. This dude was Professor X, whoever he or she was. And then you have viewer 518 and with static targets 0.778. So again, there were viewers who were more skilled and talented than others. And then let's see here, it says that both researchers predicted, let me skip this one. It says with both types producing very, very successful results. So basically, it says table 4 shows the results for this experiment. Unlike experiment 1, the static and dynamic targets produce identical effect sizes. It says with both types producing very successful results. The combined effect size of all trials is 0.55, resulting in a z-score of 5.2. So again, these were, very successful when it came to their expert viewers especially the ones that they kind of put through. They were able to, I want to say refine the site, but that entropy or introscopy observation that they did, they were able to bump up their accuracy. All right, so let's keep going. It says conclusion and recommendations says it is clear to this author that the anomalous cognition is possible and has been demonstrated. It says the conclusion is not based on belief, but rather on commonly accepted scientific criteria. The phenomena has been replicated in a number of forms across laboratories and cultures. So he's just pointing out what I was telling you before, family. It's like they were able to replicate this all over the country, various laboratories, different institutions. And, for them, this was a real thing. And this is why that program is probably still around today. All right. And then it says, let's see here. Well, he's going into, he's defending his stance. He says, I believe it would be wasteful. This is the second paragraph with the yellow highlight. It says, I believe that it would be wasteful of valuable resources to continue to look for proof. It says, no one who has examined all the data across laboratories taken as a collective whole has been able to suggest methodological and statistical problems to explain the ever-increasing and consistent results to date. So again, he's saying that, man, this thing is consistent, right? So again, I thought that this was conspiracy theory, but based off of the documents that was released and based off of the history, it looks like it's the real deal. All right, so that's that. Let me pull up another slide for you. Let's see, remove from stage. Let me stop sharing this screen. And what I'm going to share with you next, family, is let's take a look at a couple of documents. So first, let's take a look at this document for Project Sunstreak. All right. Just to give you an idea of how it works. All right. So their viewers, they're told to look at a site or describe a site, and they do whatever they do, and then they describe it as best they can. But these are the definitions. You see where it says remote viewing, ability to describe remote areas or concealed data via unknown mental processes. Remote action. I haven't talked about this, but this was another one, family. It says the ability to influence physical or biological systems via undefined physical mechanisms. This is definitely some Marvel X-Men stuff. Like this is where they are attempting to impact the way another person in a different room, using their mind. All right. This is Project Sunstreak. It says DIA's motivation for pursuing this program: establish whether a threat exists. If so, what are its dimensions? Can the phenomena be exploited? It says Grill Flame reports this remote viewing is a real phenomena and is not degraded by distance or shielding. It says, when it says RV, it's talking about remote viewing. It says RV ability can be improved by appropriate training. This is what I was talking about as far as that when you saw those experts, they were able to increase their numbers. It says RV has potential for U.S. intelligence applications. Potential threat to U.S. national security exists from foreign sources. And these are some of the names. Nuclear physics and all this other stuff. Implications are revolutionary. Merits continued funding in the national interest. Evidence too impressive to dismiss as mere coincidence. Lack of physical model does not preclude existence. It says, initiate a 5 to 10 year program, involve additional labs. Anticipated applications. Description of otherwise inaccessible areas, tip off for redirecting other collected collection assets, narrow down possibilities, anticipate near-term activities or events, determine presence or absence of targets, treaty monitoring, hostages. So they were coming up with all kinds of applications for this thing. Now, this is what, just to kind of give you an example of what a viewer's session looks like, right? And they're sitting down, they're just jotting down what they see, right? They're going into their, whatever state that they're in when they're trying to view these sites. And then they're writing stuff down. It's like tall, like in this one, you'll see on the screen, it says tall, structure, angles, building, dish antennas, huge, rows of them. And the location that he was given to describe, this is what was at the location that he was describing that he had no idea was there, right? They just pointed to a location. It was like, hey, describe what's at this location, right? And so he's saying tall, structure, angles, buildings, dishes, antennas, huge, rows of them. And this is what was there. All right. It was a radio telescope in New Mexico. All right. And there's, various of these, radio towers. To me, that doesn't look like a radio tower. Viewer's response off to the right. So the viewer was describing this and he described it. This is what I guess the way he modeled it and what was at the location of the coordinates that he was given were the Tulum ruins in Mexico. And as you can see, with the structure that's in the front of it and the structure that's in the back, he accurately depicted that. Right. And this is the viewer's response. So reviewers was asked to describe, this contraption that was off to the left. And again, he's not seeing it. He's just giving his description of what he's saying. It says, I can see some very heavy, looks like railroad tracks, but they are spread much too wide. So it looks like a riding gantry. All right. So that's it. I'm not going to go too much more into this, family, but as you can see, this is just what those examples look like. All right. So with that, let's see. So that's just an example. And let's go to the Ark of the Covenant. And I'm going to expand my screen. So bear with me just for a second. So this is, the one that's the document that's making its way around, YouTube and other social media platforms is this. And this is the one, one of the ones that was released where the session was to identify the coordinates of the Ark of the Covenant. They're trying to find it. So this particular viewer, so again, like I told you, there were viewers of different, experiences and levels, right? You have expert viewers and you have novice viewers. So of course, if you put an expert viewer on a location, they're going to have high confidence of what he's getting, right, of what he's seeing. So viewer identified 032, and I tried to find viewer 32 in some of those documents. I wasn't able to find them. And here you go. It says this was back in 1988, December 5th, 1988. And it says methodology, cry. I'm not sure what that is. But some of these things you can take with a grain of salt. It says access and describe the target identified by coordinate, and they gave the coordinate. So basically all they did to this viewer is like, hey, I'm gonna give you some coordinates and I want you to go and access it and describe it. Tell me what you see. But the fact that they knew the coordinate is something too. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they had the coordinates of where they thought the Ark of the Covenant was says a whole lot. And people have tried to figure out where these coordinates are, and they have not, because something about the way that the grids, you have to know the grids in order to be able to map the actual location. But like I said, there's some takeaways from this document that if it is true, then back in the 1980s, they believed they knew where the Ark of the Covenant was, so much so that they put their viewer, or sent it to had their viewer try to describe it. And then here it says, comments, it says training target number 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. So training target. So this target, it says it is the Ark of the Covenant. The fact that they put that it is the Ark of the Covenant, not that it might be the Ark of the Covenant, but they said that it is the Ark of the Covenant. So again, family, it's this is some Indiana Jones type stuff for sure, but there's certain things that you can take away from this, from this document. And so then it says, number 4, it says, viewer number 32 attained excellent sight contact. So again, this wasn't just a one-off. This is a program that had been going on since the 70s. And so for them to be able to put the viewer attained excellent sight contact, there was precedence for that, in their research, in their labs. They had multiple labs that had taken place, up to that point, and researches. So when they say this is also significant, where it says viewer 32 attained excellent contact, again, of a site that they say is the Ark of the Covenant, not might be, but is the Ark of the Covenant. Then it says doing very well with stage 4 structure. Viewer also exhibits the ability to keep AOL to a minimum. Not sure what that is. It says have to be careful with editing though. It says this does not seem to be a problem. Just something to watch out for. All right, so let's keep going. In this one, let's see here. Actually, I think I have. Hang on, fam. I just want to make sure I got the actual document too, because I might want to switch over to that. Let me pull this up. Just give me a second, fam. I think I want to pull up the actual document. I do have the actual document, because what's on the internet are just these 2 pages, but you can actually get the full document. So let me pull that up off screen, and it's probably easier to go through these. Let's see, remote viewing, Sunstreak. We already looked at that. Ark of the Covenant. All right, got that. All right, so I'm going to pull it up on my other monitor, and then I'm going to see if I can switch over to it. Let's try it. Let's do a share screen. And let me see here. All right. So hopefully you can see that, family. So this is the full document. All right. Intelligence sources. This is what we were looking at before. Access to the described. And there's the coordinates. That's what we were talking about before. So attain excellent contact. And this is their write-up of it, where it says the target is a container. And what you'll see, family, is that I'm not sure who's putting this summary part together, because the actual session, like the notes that they were jotting down during the session, it wasn't this it wasn't this organized. It was kind of random. So the fact that it looks, that it's in this this organized paragraph, I'm not sure what process they have to put it together, but until I know a little bit more about that, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But it says target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. It says the target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. It says the target is similar in shape to AOL, whatever AOL is. A coffin, and is decorated with saffron. And it says see sketch page 16. And then this target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seem to be Arabic. Now, what's interesting, family, is that in this write up here, there's coming across as though they don't know where it is. However, Up here, what we just pointed out was that they gave coordinates exactly where it was. And then they said in number 3, it says training target 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I mean? Like, so there, it's kind of like, I'm not sure why they, over here, it's reading this way. But up here, up top, they seem pretty confident that they believe that it is the Ark of the Covenant. But anyway, let's go down. It says, target is a container. Second paragraph, it says, the target is located somewhere in the Middle East as the language spoken by individuals present seem to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of mosque domes. And we'll see that, the reason why he has a question mark there, that's up for debate because the structure that I saw didn't really look like a mosque dome. But anyway, it says individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white, had black hair, which is interesting because people in certain areas have certain attributes, and black hair isn't one of them. One of them for some folks. But anyway, it says had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I homed in on wore a mustache, and then it says. So I take it back, family. I guess this may be the viewer that's giving the like a written analysis of what they're seeing, because it does say viewer number 32 up above, but it does say or when I read, it says one figure I homed in on, so wore a mustache. So this must be the viewer that's giving this this summary. Then it says the target is hidden underground, dark and wet, where all aspects of the location of the target. So I guess it does make sense that the viewer doesn't know where this target is, because that's part of the session, is that the viewer doesn't know where they're looking at. Right? They just have to describe, try to figure it out based off of these coordinates that they were given. And then it says the purpose of the target is to bring a people together. Page 16. It says it has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. It says there is an aspect of spirituality, information, sessions, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know. Far beyond what we know. The target is protected by entities. See page 14. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to page 14 and see what they're talking about when they say the target is protected by entities. And it says, and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protectors. See page 17. Through the use of a power unknown to us. So let's keep going. So I'm going to, and this is like the notes during the session, and you can see, they're just writing down various notes, green, brown, rough, smooth voices. I mean, some of them is kind of random and doesn't really make any sense, right? Moist, cold, dark, right? But we're going to go down to 17, and then he starts seeing these different structures. So he saw this structure, right? Looks like an arch, and then a wall, and then part of, they're not sure what this is, but that was on page 6, and this is page 7, right? So all these shapes, right? It looks like I don't know, that looks like a bulldozer. And then heavy, solid, thick, high, hollow, containers, old, sorrow, steel, stone, right? Number 10, this just going through all these descriptions, just seeing different things: desk, chairs, walls, right? Court. This could be anything, any place, right? And then, so we get to 12. And this is where we get to some of the information that we saw above where it says foreign, Middle East, Arabic. It says dark hair, dark eyes. And this word says, mosque dome. So this doesn't, based off of this shape, right? They're trying to say it's a mosque dome, but that doesn't really look like a mosque dome. Windows, right? White, movement, people, background, man, white clothes, mustache. And then this is, let's see, this one doesn't have a page number on it. But you can see, family, you'll see these comments in bracket, right? Right. Yeah, it sounds like they're reaching the media. I think you're right, Brother Kevin. But let's keep reading though. Let's check this out. Because it says mummies, right? People, right? Old, passion, watering. And then 14. So whenever you see like this, these little brackets right here, so this comes across to me as, the person that's watching the viewer, giving him instructions, like, what to do. Like, all right, what do you see? All right, zoom in to that person. All right, describe that person. Zoom in to the right. All right, turn to the right. Describe what you see. Right. So that's what I take these brackets, these words, or these phrases and brackets to mean. But you can see here, family, where it says, it looks like some instructions are given, and they start saying, go to the container and open it up. Describe what's in it as you go. They set this dude up, right? They set this dude up. And this is on page 14. He's on page 14. Go to the container and open it up. Describe it as you go. All right. So of course, like I said, family, I'm like you all. I'm skeptical when I started looking into this. I was still skeptical all the way up past 13, past 14, until I got to here. This is why I paused and did this live. Part of the reason why. And the reason why is probably because of a couple of things you aren't aware about. One is I am working on a book, and I'm very close to having my book ready to be published. And in my book, it is a Black history book. And in my book, I have some things that I haven't shared with you all yet. And one of the things is this symbol right here. Oops. This symbol right here is a significant symbol, and that's why I stopped. And also, what also made me stop are these colors off to the left, which is also in my book, associated with this symbol. So that's why I looked at this as like, oh, well, this might be real, right? Because silver, gold, blue, red. And this, I can kind of let a little bit of the cat out of the bag. And that is, this symbol has to do with the Negroes. This has to do with the Negroes, as well as these colors off to the left. And I show this in my book. And even what really got me, family, let me really zoom into this thing right here. You see this thing scratched out right here? Now, I couldn't really tell what this word was, because it's scribble scrabble, right? And it means, it looks like it's altered. To me, when I look at it, it looks like altered. You don't really have all the letters in there, but it looks like altered is what they're trying to say. But then this looks like an N, and this last letter looks like an E. So this looks like name, and they tried to scratch it out. Whoever was doing this, like, tried to scratch this out. And again, like I told you, I don't want to let too much of the cat out the bag, because that's going to be one of my selling points of the book, is I'm going to explain this to you off to the left. And that is, it has to do, like, this symbol has to do with the altered name. These colors have to do with the altered name. And then the fact that they wrote altered name and scratched out name, that's what made me pause and say, you know what? This might be okay. This might be. And in fact, actually, let me show you a screenshot of my book cover. All right. Let me show you this. Give you a sneak peek of my book cover. So I'm going to see if I can do a share screen. I guess I got to stop sharing. Share screen. And let me see if I can find it up here. Nope, it's not that one, not that one. Sunstreak. It's not coming up. Let me see if I can load it up here. Bear with me just for a second, fam. I'm going to see if I can load an image file. Let me grab it from my folder here. Just give me a moment. All right. So this is my book that Most High Willing will be out of on various platforms. Let's see here. Why is it still showing up? Okay. Anyway, but it will be out on various platforms here in about a month or so. Black History Case Files, Buried Heritage. And within my book, I describe what you just saw in that CIA release that was supposedly about the Ark of the Covenant, where they, let me go back to the other screen, said that it looks like altered name and some other stuff on there. So let me go back, select my window, and select Ark of the Covenant. All right. And so, all right. So again, family, this is significant. This is significant. The colors that they wrote, this symbol in the middle, the fact that they put altered name, like all this is significant. You can draw a circle around this. And I can tell you, like, all this is in one section in my book. probably like 3 or 4 pages. It's in one section in my book. All right. So we'll leave that as it is. Yeah, or somebody says our set apart name. I'm not sure what that is. But let's just keep going. So again, that's why I stopped and said, you know what? There might be something to this. But anyway, it says, let's see. Let me zoom back out because I think I'm zooming in too far. All right. So again, he's describing what supposedly describing what he or she is saying, gold, wood, copper, silver, stone, wood, right? And it could be reach. And it says, resurrection, homage, protection, or homage, protection. Important, historical, family, historical, spiritual, and this is historical. This is historical, in my opinion. And Most High Willing, you get purchase the book, you'll see why I say that. Anyway, let's see. Where is it says historical information. I think it says lessons, spiritual lessons, informative or information, coffin, place, blah, blah, blah. It says seradim or seraphim. And we'll just do a few more of these, family, and close up. I know we are, oh wow, we're an hour over. I thought this was gonna be 30 minutes. All right, fam. But let's keep going. But here he starts getting to things like heat, height, death, burn, light, power, forbidden, protected, lasting. And I think I missed one, family. Purpose, significance of the container, right? And where was it? I think I missed something, family. There was one where, yeah, he was saying like, go to the container, open it up, tell me what's inside of it, right? And once he does that, he starts to talk about some of these power references, power, death, wood, copper, whatever. All right, but anyway, but that's it, family. That's what is in there. It's like forbidden, protected, lasting, power. All these different terms that he were coming up with. But yeah, family, it's one of those things, family, where this project in itself, like Project Sun, what they call it, Stargate or whatever, where they're using these viewers to view certain items and stuff at coordinates. Again, I wanted you all to know that is a real thing. Like that's a project that has been around since the 1970s, as far as what they're sharing with us, according to their documents. It was one of those things where they were able to prove this, according to the documents, in various laboratories, various universities. They also pulled in various scientists from different disciplines, at the top of their field or whatnot. They even had a Nobel Peace Prize person that was part of this this program, or these programs. And these programs, based off of what we're reading, it changes names over time, so it could still be going on today. And then of course they released this one, and like I said, I was originally or initially a skeptic when I saw it, and I didn't think too much of it. And of course, when I started digging into it and I saw that this program was, it looks to be a legit program, right? Had some great data around it. Seemed like they figured some things out as far as getting these viewers to be able to see stuff. And then I came back and looked at this, at this particular one that had to deal with the Ark of the Covenant. I didn't really think too much about it until I got right here. So that's where we are, family. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm sure some more information will come out about that later. And, of course, as I get closer to my book release, I'll also share that with you as well. And, most I will, I'll put some of, maybe I'll take an excerpt out of that book that has to do with that. Maybe I'll put it on social media here, because that's not the only thing that's in there. But that was one of the big reveals in the book was showing you the significance of these symbols. And I had no idea, because I've been working on my book for a long time, way before this came out. And I had no idea that there was a viewer that actually did this. So anyway, but that was just interesting to me. All right. Well, that's it, family. And like I said, wow, I'm surprised anybody's up this time of night, but definitely get some rest, family. We'll definitely check us out on Hebrew Connect TV. I'm not normally on YouTube, and actually I'll probably move this video over to Hebrew Connect TV and Patreon. But yeah, just be sure to subscribe on those platforms if you can. All right. Well, love you, Miss Picard. Talk to you later, and shalom. Shalom, family. It's your brother Benaiah Ben Israel, and I would like to invite you to join me on HebrewConnect.tv. That's HebrewConnect.tv. Now, family, this is not just another social media platform. This one here, this is a game changer. It's a platform owned by Hebrews and operated by Hebrews. It's your ticket off of the digital plantation. It's a place where Israelites can go to find biblical answers, join online fellowships, listen to truth music, post and watch videos and animations, learn the Hebrew language, find the latest news, and if so desired, join a community. This is your digital city of freedom, where you are free to share, post, like, subscribe without having your videos shadow banned or your subscribers mysteriously sucked off and kidnapped by aliens. This platform here is Share Unfiltered, the way social media is supposed to be, a free and fair platform for all Israelites. So join us today in our digital city of freedom on HebrewConnect.tv. That's HebrewConnect.tv, and subscribe to freedom.